Good, good morning, everyone. This is Mike Matsuno, live streaming from Bangkok, Thailand. It's here about 7 a.m. today, and I just wanted to check again if any of you could comment and leave a comment. How is the audio, and how is the video? Is it more or less matching to my mouth? I think the sound and the video is sometimes a little bit delayed. So I finally made it to Bangkok. This is the last week of my trip here. I spent a month in Chiang Mai studying Thai, then 4 nights in Chiang Rai, and then 4 nights in Phuket. And I just arrived yesterday, so I haven't seen much of Bangkok yet, and I plan to do it this week. But I wanted to do a live stream from after Chiang Mai and Phuket because there are a couple of things that are actually quite interesting for me. And I thought that some of you who may be thinking of coming to Thailand or maybe thinking of living or retiring in Thailand, may just want to know, just kind of as, what do you call, just as food for thought. I do want to say that at the beginning that I am not the expert at all. I know really nothing. It's only been a few days here and there. But I just wanted to share with you my perspective. And coming back like to Phuket after like what 30 years, 35 years, the differences that I saw were pretty much unbelievable. So I'm gonna start today and just talk about it. But I just wanted to say that I'm staying here in Bangkok. Usually I kind of share with you where I'm staying at, and I'm here at the yellow. It's called the Yellow Ribbon Hills Executive Mansion. It's a what is it called? A service apartment. So it's not a hotel. It's like a hotel, but not a hotel. And it's usually an older condominium that they've changed from a condominium into like a short or long-term self-serve apartment. And it tends to be much larger than hotel rooms. And they're usually more out of the main area places. So they're cheaper, but they're much larger. And so this time I chose somewhere. I'm here in Chong Nong, which is out of the main area of Sukhumvit, and it's quite reasonable. It's about $50 a night here. Anyway, let me just show you what it looks like, so maybe I can give you a better idea. I've shown the three places that I've stayed, right, in Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai. I didn't show you Phuket because that was my friend. That was at my friend's house, and I'm going to show you here at Bangkok. Again, this is not your standard hotel. This is an older condominium, probably I would guess 30 years or maybe more. That used to be at its prime, but now as the years go on, they're not going. Maybe it's too expensive to knock down and restart it. So what they're doing. So now what they're doing is just turning them into service, not full service, but service apartments. Again, if there's anyone out there listening, if you could comment in the video, in the comments, just to let me know that the audio is coming through. So I'm just gonna pull this with me. So this one is called, it's like an executive suite. And you can see it has like a kitchen. It has a one burner, it has sink, it has a microwave. So yeah, it's very nice. You can see that the microwave is quite old. This is a Sharp. Got a pretty large refrigerator here, down here, and sink area you can wash. So, and they have a little dining room set here that you could sit and look out to the window, and then here you step into the living room and this is what the living room looks like. It's a large sofa, has quite a big TV, and let's see. There's a desk area, and there's that's the Thai sauce that my friend who's Thai, who lives in Kyoto, asked me to buy, so I'm going to try and bring that back for him. Here's the window, here's the couch. So it's a pretty large area, as you can see, right? And then it goes right into the kitchen here. Here's your doorway. So again, this is an old condominium, that's why it's so big. Here's the bathroom. It has the old style bathtub. You can see, you can fill in. And I'm pretty sure that they used to have Japanese stay here or stay here now, because here in the bookcase I was looking, it was kind of interesting, was they have books in Japanese, written in Japanese. So I thought to myself, oh, a lot of Japanese must stay here, probably left them, or maybe they brought them in. So there's all these books written in Japanese, which I cannot read even. But I thought that was interesting. And another thing that I thought that was interesting was in the bath here, one, they have a large, bathtub. But what is interesting also is that down underneath, if you can see down here, they have like the Japan, in Japan we have those furo, those scoopers who scoop up for furo, and a little like the one of those wash tubs in Japan. So I was trying to figure it out. And look, down here they have a large drain. I don't know if you can see it. And there's a lip here. There's a lip here, if you can see this here, about 3 inches. So it means that they I guess expected Japanese to maybe wash outside and then go into the bath, which I find kind of unusual. But that's the only conclusion I could make. So I guess there must have been a lot of Japanese who stayed here or stay here now for that reason. But anyway, that was it. One more interesting thing was we talked about the toilets and the prototypes. I was saying the bun gun was the prototype of the what do you call it? Toto's Japanese washlet toilet. But this is another type which is interesting too. And I don't know if you can see it, but it has 2 controls, and it's more analog, but it works. It's fine. And what it says here, it says family and feminine. Feminine, I think, is a bidet, and family is the one for your rear end. So again, a prototype of the Japanese toilet. And here is the bedroom, just to show you. I'm just showing you the space. It's about queen or king size bed. They have closet space in the back of this door here. So all in all, quite nice. Old. So if you want modern conveniences, this wouldn't be your place. But I just wanted to show you that you can get something this big if you had 2 people or even a family. Well, a family, you would need another bed. You want space, or if you wanted to cook your own food, this would be a possibility for those of you who are interested in coming to Bangkok. So let's see. Oh, okay, J-Star, live audio are coming through perfect. Okay, thank you, J-Star. Thank you for always verifying that for me. So just to fill everything back in, I was in after Chiang Mai, I left to Chiang Rai, which is northeast of Chiang Mai. They're both in the north provinces. And what is interesting is that it's more laid back. I did do a live stream from Chiang Rai, and they have the famous white temple and blue temple. And the day after I did the live stream, I went up to the border. It's the famous Golden Triangle, where it was long ago was known for the opium trade, where you had Myanmar, Laos, and Thailand, and a lot of drugs came in, and still probably do come in to this day. But there I found a very interesting, culturally interesting, sociologically interesting, where you had a lot of Burmese and Laotians who were coming into Thailand legally or illegally, either to work or for whatever reason, and it was a very intermixed group there. Not only did you have Laotians and Burmese coming in, but you also had the hill tribes. The hill tribes are there, whether it's the Lahu or the Akka or the Karen or the Shan or the Thai. They were all in that area too. So you had a really interesting mix, very culturally diverse. And I think Chiang Rai is the most culturally diverse province in Thailand because you have the hill tribes people. Some of them are stateless. Some of them are not citizens of any country. Some of them belong to different countries. Some of them immigrated over legally or illegally. And you also have the Burmese and the Laotians who come over to work. Like in Phuket, I saw many Burmese from Myanmar who came or who are doing the construction work because they don't have enough construction workers in Phuket. So, but again, up in the North Province, it was really very culturally diverse, very interesting. I'm sure there's still a lot of problems with, whether it's human trafficking, drugs, people legally or illegally working. But it was if you want something to do like a sociological, cultural study, definitely the Chiang Rai would be the place to go. So after going to Chiang Rai, I left and I flew down to Phuket. It's about a 2-hour flight from Chiang Rai to Phuket. And I had been there maybe 35 years ago when it was just, a kind of a small island resort. And I was I was very, very surprised because it kind of after I got picked up by my friend and we were driving to her house, it's just like Hawaii. It reminded me of Hawaii or the outer islands of Hawaii. It was that developed. It was developed, but it also had that whole tropical, the coconut trees, the smells, the flowers. So it was a lot like Hawaii. So it could be a good option, right? Exchange for Hawaii in the right season because right now it's the perfect time. It's the dry season between November through February usually. But they say in the hot season, it's really hot, super hot and humid. So again, if you're gonna come, if you're coming from Japan, maybe and you want a different place instead of Hawaii, Phuket might be a good place. Phuket is the largest island out of the 1,430 islands that Thailand does have, and it really is. It's framed and it's branded as a beautiful tropical paradise, which it really is. And it is the most famous island in Thailand, and it was always famous for its nightlife, right? I think the only other place as famous outside of Bangkok was Pattaya Beach, but that's on the mainland. But Pattaya is nowhere close as beautiful as Phuket. Now, Phuket gets 225 sunny days a year. So even if it's humid and hot, it's still sunny. So if you want sun and beach, definitely Phuket. It's the ocean. It have a lot of it still has its, of course, Thai culture. They have a lot of wellness and health things going on, spas. It's becoming like a wellness spa hub in Asia. So a lot of people go there to vacation or to live, and they have about 1.5 million tourists a year. And it reminded me a lot of Bali, but again, like Bali, it's becoming almost to the point of being too developed or overdeveloped. So I enjoyed Phuket, tropical island, amazing beaches. They got these huge, like in Hawaii, in Honolulu, Oahu, we have like Kailua Beach, which is, a long sandy stretch. Well, they have like 10 or 20 times Kailua beaches all over the island. I will say though, that I think the water in Hawaii was much cleaner. Well, I won't say much, but cleaner and much more blue. So Hawaii still takes it on the more beautiful, I think, colors, at least on the island of Phuket. If you go down to the other, Samui, Samet, the other islands, I heard that it's much, much more bluer. So again, I didn't go, so you'd have to go for yourself. But what I did realize is that heavy traffic on Phuket. This is the busy season, but it's almost like over tourism. It's overcrowded, not only with tourists, but people who live there. There are 30,000 expats who now live on the island of Phuket. So that's a lot because there are 30,000 expats living in Chiang Mai, a larger city. But that's how attractive it is. And of course, a lot of them are those who have money, or who can retire there. So as my friend drove around, we saw heavy traffic, and this was in like midday on a weekday. So that tells you that any time of the day, it's congested. You saw a lot of big dump trucks because construction is going on. And we were on the northern part. My friend lives on the northern part of Phuket, where the action is, or used to be especially, was down in Patong Beach, down on the southern part of Phuket. That's where the nightlife was. That's where all the tourists usually were. A lot of the young people used to go. That's where the action was. Well, what you find happening is now because people want to, they enjoy the nightlife and all that, but they want to be in a more quieter, not as touristy place. So a lot of people are staying in the northern part of Phuket. And so now they're developing that whole area of the northern part, condominiums, villas, homes. It was really amazing. I was shocked that there was so much development going on. And I even rode the bike around a couple of days on my own, the bicycle. Rented a bike. My friend rented a bike for me, and I rode around. And yes, every place I went, I didn't go that far, maybe a stretch of 8 kilometers in different directions. There was development going on. There was condominiums, there were villas, and so yes, people are coming to Phuket, people are buying into Phuket, and people are retiring in Phuket. The only problem I think is, and this is my own personal opinion, so take it for what it's worth, is that it's how can the infrastructure, the water, the sewage, the electricity, all handle all of these units that they're building. There are thousands of units being built. So I mean, if you have that many more thousands of people coming, how will the island handle it? And then again, just like Hawaii, it's an island, so you only have so much land, and so land prices, of course, go up. And roads, you can only build, there's only like maybe a 2-lane road that's going around in certain areas. You can't widen it because it's an island, there's not that much land, and you have to take people's land. So you stay with a 2-lane highway, just like on Oahu, going around the island. And of course, you have traffic. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if the government or the builders really understand. It seems to be just like build, 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 and then think about it later. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I expect in the next 10 years, something's going to give. But anyway, that was my opinion. So coming from Chiang Rai, a more conservative, a more slow-paced, a more, not as advanced and modern, to Phuket was like a culture shock for me. It was like going from a different country. Here in Chiang Mai and in Chiang Rai, the northern provinces, it was cooler for one. People tended to be more, life was slower, at a slower pace. I felt that, again, this is my opinion, so take it for a grain of salt, that I think, to me, people were more friendly. They were more, they had time. They were, I don't know if the word is kinder I could use, but I guess they had more time to talk. And, if I was going to learn Thai in the northern province, because down in Phuket, everyone speaks English. So if you're an expat or you're a visitor that only wants to deal in English, then Phuket is an ideal place for you. Phuket or Bangkok, because you can get around in Bangkok. You don't need Thai. But if you want to be more into the people, or you want to learn Thai, and you want to have more opportunities to speak Thai or use Thai, then definitely the northern province, whether it's Chiang Rai or Chiang Mai, I think would be a better place to learn, because when you're in Bangkok, or like, I don't know about Bangkok yet, but in Phuket, when I try to speak Thai, the people who are working, whether it's 7-Eleven or at anywhere, restaurant or somewhere, they kind of look at me like, why are you wasting my time? Because they speak back in, like quick, fluent English, because it's the business, right? Almost everyone speaks English. It's just like in Waikiki, in Honolulu. Almost there's always a Japanese speaker in any hotel or anywhere, pretty much, right? They sell in Japanese because that's what sells. So same thing in Phuket. Almost everyone speaks English, and if they don't, they speak enough that they can get by. They can explain to you. So Phuket is not the place to learn Thai, because unless you live on the outside out islands, it's because everyone speaks English, which is very convenient if you speak English and you come here to go on for a leisure trip or tourism trip, right? I mean, or even if you live here, just makes life easier. So let me check. Okay, I'm going to the comments. Oh, hi Wally, great to have you back from Canada, and audio is going well. So okay, I'll keep going here. So again, my thing about Phuket was beautiful, tropical paradise. They did a lot of those movies. I don't know, Leonardo what was his name? Leonardo DiCaprio. They did a couple of movies there on the island. It's a great filming spot. It's a good place to go and see the other islands from, to launch from. It has beautiful spas and wellness and just high end things. So if you're in the high end or you want to be pampered and you want the extra niceties at a price that is not as high as, let's say, outside in Europe or in the United States, then definitely Phuket is the place. If you want like beaches where you can find still beaches where, although there's the crowded areas where in front of the hotels and the villas, you can find very a beach that's white sand, pretty much blue, not blue blue, but blue enough water that's pretty isolated that you can have it, just a few people and yourself. So yes, it is all that it says to be, but that's the reason that the people are coming and they're building. And I am sure that the Thai government gets a huge taxes from Phuket. So no one seems to be worried about slowing that down. My first question, as soon as I saw it, because it reminded me of Honolulu, right? Prices have to go up. Oh, that's the other thing. Phuket is more expensive than Bangkok. And that was really interesting. You would think that Bangkok being the major city, right? Big city, most expensive. No, it's Phuket. Phuket is more expensive than Bangkok. And so that, when I heard that from my friend, I was like, because she lives in, half the time in Bangkok, half the time in Phuket. So if anybody would know, she would know. I was really surprised because you would think it'd be cheaper, outside of the city, but no. So that's another thing to know is that you will pay at least in for Thailand a higher level because I guess it's an island. I guess because the tourists they drive prices up, and for tourists it's still cheap, right? For a lot of Americans or Europeans that come, it's still quite cheap. But let me just give you a couple of examples of why I say like compared to like Chiang Mai or Chiang Rai, the cost is so different. But then again, it's level of service and level of niceties, right? Let me just give you the idea of the gym. So I used to go to the gym in Chiang Mai. It was an old it was a big gym, but it was old and the machines were not, the newest, but it did serve its purpose just to go in to work out, get out, get out in an hour and a half. It cost, it was like the old, Rocky. It was like the old Rocky gym. It was kind of run down. It was like over, used a lot. It was kind of rusty, some of the machines. But everything I did, it served its purpose. I used to go for a daily, I don't know, they didn't call it daily pass, but one day, a day, it was 60 baht, $2, okay? So I'm in Phuket. I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll go and exercise or work out one day. So I ride my bike and I visit 3 different gyms. These gyms are not just like those Rocky type gyms, they're like spas. They have like jacuzzi and they have like magnesium bath and they have all the niceties. And so I went in to take a look at the gym. You can just do the gym, which is nice and all, or you can do the gym and the spa together. But one of them only you had to do both. But anyway, to do just the gym alone, it was 500 baht. So 500 baht is about $18. And the other one, you have to do both, was close to 1,000 baht, which is what, $30. Now, if you spend the whole day there, then that's not so bad. But if you just want to go in and work out and get out, then if you really price it out, I ended up not going. Then I thought, oh, what's the point, right? But just to give you a scale, again, completely different, gym, spa in Phuket versus just a Rocky gym in Chiang Mai. But I just want to give you like the scale, $2 versus, 18 to $30. You're talking, just mountains are high. Of course, you got the services and everything. Everyone's really nice. Everyone speaks English. But again, so just to give, or night market is another example. This was the best example for me because I had gone to several night markets in Chiang Mai and in Chiang Rai. And so I kind of had an idea what things cost. And then I went to the night market in Phuket, Friday night fun market, it was called, I think. and they had a lot of vendors there, but the prices there were almost double, sometimes even triple of what they were in Chiang Rai or Chiang Mai. So that just gives you an example. But again, for tourists, it was still, cheap, or they were on vacation, so it didn't really matter. And there were more, things like scallops on a stick, or, I think it looked like Japanese Wagyu or beef. Those are not cheap. They were like 200, 300 baht, so, like $6 to $10, on a stick and things. So not so different from like when I was in Hokkaido, what we paid for some of the things, like my friend Guy bought, I think, some Wagyu sticks. I think they were 2,000 yen, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3,000 yen, which is almost the same as what they were charging there in Phuket. So compared to Japan, maybe not, and the yen baht rate is not in Japan's favor. It's not that cheap even. So again, the night market was the best example for me of what the going rates are. Phuket, very expensive compared to Chiang Mai and especially Chiang Rai. Um, and and anyway, getting to the idea of transport, moving around. If Phuket, everybody has a motorcycle. A lot of foreigners like motorcycles and motor scooters. Same like any place in Thailand, right? Because people can't afford cars, but it's the best way to get around. However, as I said before, the majority of fatalities and accidents are caused by motorbikes and motorcycles. And you can see why is because you have a lot of these foreigners who come in, and I'm not just saying it's foreigners, but was it 7-8% of the 20,000 who die are foreigners. And I'm sure, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that many of them happen on Phuket. Because when I was riding my bike around, I was I'm slow. I'm one of the few people on a bicycle again in Phuket. But you could see these foreigners on bikes without, motorcycles, big bikes, big motorcycles, without helmets, doing the whole thing, taking those extra risks that you would think that's freaking crazy, right? And that's what they were doing. So a lot of foreigners, I don't know what happens to them when they come to, maybe they feel like they're totally free, there are no rules, they don't have to worry, I don't know what, but a lot of them actually go a little crazy, and I'm sure a lot of them have been drinking too, intoxicated. So you got all that going on. It's just an accident waiting to happen. And again, helmets are the law, but the majority of people do not wear helmets, and the majority of foreigners were not wearing helmets. So it's kind of an accident waiting to happen, and when it does happen, it's quite severe and serious. Anyway, so transport would be that. And again, because it's an island, everything's congested. So of course, the motorbike or the motorcycle is a quicker way to get around than cars, right? Because with the motorcycle, they can just zip around, and zip around the cars. In fact, at the major traffic time when I was coming down at night on my bicycle, and it was heavy traffic on a Friday night, I, on the bicycle, could actually weave and go faster than the motorbikes or motorcycles because the spaces were much more narrow. So even when it was like that, the bicycle was the king. But other times, of course, it's the motorcycle or the motorbike. Okay, James. Hi, James. James Rhodes. Chiang Mai rocks. Yes, James. 20,000 in 1 year. $20,000. I'm not sure, but it's $20,000. That's what they say. I think you could live on that. That's what you're asking, James. There's several videos out about how much a day that you can live. It just depends on what your lifestyle is and what you want to, how you want to live. But yeah, Chiang Mai definitely reasonable. That's why a lot of digital nomads go to Chiang Mai. They like the cooler temperatures and they like the cost of living. The only problem with Chiang Mai is, as I've said before, is the burning season where they slash and burn or they burn the fields. And that's usually the mid-February to probably mid-April, about 12 weeks. And that is definitely a problem for most foreigners or even the Thai people, but they don't move. But a lot of foreigners tend to be out of Chiang Mai, the northern province, during those 3 months, those 12 weeks. So again, if you want to get, I said this before in a previous live stream, if you want to get a condominium, you may have to think, is it worth getting if I'm going to be out and I'll be paying for another place in Thailand. If you stay in Thailand, that is, you could go out to another Southeast Asian country or even home. But if you're going to pay for the full 3.5 months, because you get a better deal, right? 1 year is usually a lot of places, they require 6 months or 1 year. 1 year is the cheapest, 6 months is cheaper, and then if you pay monthly, it's much more expensive. So people think, oh, I better get the year, but you have to think, do I want to stay here in the burning season? And if you haven't experienced it, like I haven't, you may want to test it out before you decide to do it. Because as I said in a previous live stream, my friend William, who's from Hong Kong, he was trying to stay through the burning season because his friends, the Koreans and Japanese the expats who live in Chiang Mai, stay. It was the Caucasian white foreigners mainly who were leaving. And William, being Hong Kong Chinese, he wanted to stay with his Japanese and Korean friends, but he couldn't. He couldn't stand it, and he got out and he went to Hua Hin. So you may want to test it out before you decide to get a year contract if you're going to stay in Chiang Mai. I am sure, 100% sure, of course, that if you're going to get a condo or whatever, it's going to be much cheaper in Chiang Mai or Chiang Rai than in Phuket. Now, so it really comes down to what you want, right? If you're a beach person, you want sun, you want to do sailing. I met several people through my friend who do sailing or businesses connected to sailing and boats. There's a boat connection down there. So if you're a sailor, definitely Phuket. There's no really other option. The one thing I will say that I heard from this Australian person who's been sailing all his life, he sailed, and he lived in Hong Kong a while, and he said that Hong Kong had the best sailing, and he thought that Phuket would have similar levels of sailing. According to him, he said that he was a little disappointed that there's not as much sailing as there is like in Hong Kong. There is, but it's not as frequent, and it wasn't as competitive, I think. So just be sure that you do your homework before you go. If you're going to go move to Phuket for sailing, that according to this Australian person who still lives there because they love the area, and he lives on one of the outer islands, and he sails still, but not at the level that he would have liked to when he first came to Phuket. He said Hong Kong was much better. So, okay, moving on. So, the pros and another interesting thing was as I rode around and moved around, I heard a lot of Russian. So many of you have probably seen it in the news. When the war started in Russia, a lot of Russians left because they didn't want to go into conscription. They didn't want to be drafted, so they left Russia. And Thailand was one of the few places that accepted Russians, as well as they accepted the money, the ruble, the Russian ruble. So a lot of Russians moved to Thailand, and a lot of them moved to Phuket. And so when you go down, especially down in the south, but also in the north where I was staying, wherever I went on the beach or wherever, I heard Russian. And so just be noted that at least at this time, there are a lot of Russians down there. A lot of Russian money has come down there too. And the reason that I heard was that when the war started and a lot of sanctions were put on Russia, very few countries would accept the Russian ruble. I think it was Dubai and Thailand was one. I think there was one other place that accepted it. So they brought their ruble down to Thailand and invested in businesses and bought things because that's one of the few places that it would accept a ruble. And then they could sell it in other currency if they sold out or. So Thailand has been kind of a channel for a lot of Russians. And so just expect that you will see a lot of Russians. You will see a lot of Russian money down there if you do decide to move there. Nothing against Russians, but Russians, their stereotype, and a lot of it is true, is that they don't really smile that much. So to me, it was kind of interesting to see Russians living in the land of smiles. They're complete opposites, right? And and as I asked my Russian friend a while back when I was on the Ship for World Youth about this, and she goes, no, Russians smile, but if they know you, but otherwise they really don't, really show or express themselves, especially like Americans do. So you just have to kind of get used to that. They're also, and so you have like tight Russian communities, and then, so just so you know that, yeah, you hear a lot of Russian. Now, if the war ends with Ukraine in the future or near future, you may have a lot of those Russians who are living in Thailand move back home or move out, because right now they have no real, not many options to do that. But at least for now, as long as the war continues, you have continue to have a big influx of Russian, whether it's short term, because a lot of people go there short term because that's one of the few places that is open to Russian tourists, as well as you have a lot of people who are living there and who have businesses and who have invested in Thailand. So I thought that was also interesting, of Phuket. When I talked to the taxi driver who spoke English well, he drove me to the airport, and he had said like the local Phuket people, they don't want the developments. I mean, they want controlled tourism is what they want. And because they're dealing with over tourism right now, right? But he said that the local Phuket government does not have the power. It's really controlled by the national government. And because I guess the national government gets so much revenue from taxes from Phuket that they're not going to kill the goose who lays the golden egg, right? However, no one is thinking about when is this going to implode. That it's an island. You only have so many resources and so much. Do you have the? And I asked people about what about the sewage treatment plants or where are they getting the water? Right now, the water is coming from the mainland. I guess. They're buying it. Electricity will also become a problem, but according to another friend, he said that they're going to come in more with solar panels and things, and so that's going to be a thing that will probably take some of the burden off the main grid, the electric grid. So probably more like water and sewage and roads and congestion to see can Phuket, what's going to happen. Will it implode eventually in the next, because of the building? I kid you not. There was constant building wherever I went, and it was just onward. And in the morning, you could hear the dump trucks, the big, large dump trucks, cement trucks, on these, they're quite narrow roads. They're island roads, right? And I was riding my bicycle, and I walked once after returning the bicycle. It was a little bit scary walking because you're walking on these kind of narrow roads, and these huge trucks come by, right? And they're impatient because they got to get to where they're going, right? So more than the motorcycles or motorbikes for me, it was those huge trucks that actually were a little bit more intimidating when I walked along the road or I rode the bicycle. Let's see. Okay, so 1 year. Okay, James, thank you. Um, and I'm probably a little biased towards Chiang Rai, but I think that not only was it much more multicultural or more diverse for me, I like, of course, the prices were much more reasonable, but I don't know if I can say the word Thainess. I felt like when I was in the north, I haven't been in Bangkok long enough to experience that yet, but if there is such thing as Thainess, and this is the Mike Matsuno personal opinion, I felt that there was much more of a Thainess in the northern provinces. And it was just the way people moved and the way they behaved. And even when they do the why, when I was in Chiang Rai, I was with my friend's staff person, and every place we went, they always greeted with the why, like in a very humble way. It's like saying konnichiwa or hi or whatever. They'd be saying swadika. In Bali, I rarely saw anyone do the why. Very few. When I was in Chiang Mai, even the 7-Eleven people, after they give you your change back, they would do this. So I'm not saying this equals Thainess, but there was something about that and the friendliness. And I felt like people were real honest in Chiang Rai and Chiang Mai. They could be conning me without me knowing it. Yes, that's true. But the price they gave me was the price, and I didn't have to worry too much about, I would say 95% of the time, no one's conning you. That's more up here, right? I think I did my live stream about how you think people are conning you, but they're really not. It's just you overthinking. Oh, she charged me too much. There's always that, you're always suspect that someone's taking advantage of you. Well, in Phuket, excuse me, in Phuket, I became much more aware that yes, there are people who will take advantage of you or charge you a little bit more depending on who you are maybe or what they can get. And so that's why a lot of places, the prices were not listed. Let me give you an example. I was riding my bike. I was down in the Layan beach area, and it was lunchtime, so I decided to stop. Nobody was there. It's a couple of tables, and so I go, and no prices listed, right? So I go and try to speak Thai. And I said, "Oh, what is this? Arai club." And then she tells me, I don't know what she's saying, but, and then I said, "Oh, how much Tao Dai?" I try to make like I know what I'm doing, so maybe they'll give me the regular price, right? Of course, I'm just fooling myself. But so she says 120 baht, which I thought was kind of expensive because I looked at that dish. I'm thinking, oh, again, you shouldn't compare, but I was comparing back to Chiang Mai, and I'm thinking, oh, that dish only would cost like 70 baht, like in Chiang Mai. But okay, So I said to her in English, I said, oh, it's beach prices, and she goes, oh no no, this is normal, and so I said, okay, but I didn't really have much choice. And I thought, okay, it's not that much, but I guess I'm always comparing to where you come from, right? Where I came from, Chiang Mai. So if it's half the price, you figure I'm still in the same country and I'm paying almost double. You feel a little bit bothered, I guess is the word. Anyway, so I ordered the dish, and it came, and I sat down. I had a mango smoothie, and and I finished. And she came to me and said, "Oh, is it good? Aroy mak?" And I said, "Yeah, aroy mak." And I smiled, and that was fine. At the end, I finished. I took the dish. I guess it's not common. I could see where she was. She's about maybe 5 meters from me, and I grabbed the dish and the empty mango smoothie plastic cup, and I took it to her, and I went to pay. I don't know what that did, but somehow she was like so touched that I brought the plate to her, and so I gave her the 120 baht, and then she took the 20 baht and gave this to me and said, in English, she said, "This is for you." And I didn't know what she meant or what was the implication, but I gave it back to her. I said, "No, no, no, you work so hard, please, that you keep it." And then I left. But in my mind, the only thing that could come to my conclusion was that, yeah, this dish was probably 100 baht at most, and she charged me 120. But after I brought the dish back, maybe she felt bad, or that I'm a good person, I'm okay, or she wanted to be nice to me. So she gives me back 20 baht. I mean, like, what business is going to just give you back money, right? They wouldn't unless there was something else going on, right? So that was my so. But anyway, she was, in the end, I was touched by her generous offer to return 20 baht or give me back 20 baht. I didn't take it. But anyway, that was my conclusion. As well as, you could see that, prices can be negotiable a lot in Phuket. So you also have to be aware of that. Any place that there's going to be a lot of money, like in Phuket, with a lot of money coming in, a lot of outside money, you're going to have scammers or people who try to take advantage, or people who maximize the situation or optimize the situation, right? So can't blame them, I guess. Not the scammers, but the people who try to maximize. Maybe high season the prices go up, low season they drop, I would guess. Hotels are like that, right? In Phuket, low season you can get a pretty good hotel, but rainy season, rainy season. So yes, Phuket, you have to be a little more careful, a little more cautious, and a lot of people are there just short term, right, for the visit, so they're not worried too much about prices. They're on vacation, they're at the night market, they don't mind paying. They didn't come from Chiang Mai or Chiang Mai and see that the prices are double, so it's nothing to them. So it's all relative, right? And a lot of it is my own psychological problem that where I came from. So in the future, if any of you decide that you're going to go to both places on the same trip, I would do the Phuket and then Chiang Mai trip, because that way you go from expensive to cheap. So when you go to Chiang Mai, you're so much happier because psychologically you think, wow, this is so cheap, right? Wow, this is so cheap and great, right? Whereas you do the reverse, like I did, you go like, oh, wow, this is only half the price in Chiang Rai or Chiang Mai, right? So again, it's all up here. You can't change what they offer, but it's all psychologically. So again, if you're gonna do both places on the same trip, do the Phuket and then go to up to Chiang Mai or Chiang Mai. Oh, one more thing about the islands. So what is happening is Phuket 35 years ago when I first went was this kind of sleepy island, beautiful. Everybody was talking about it at that time. It wasn't developed. There was no international airport. You had to take the bus down from Bangkok. It was nice. But again, I'm from Hawaii, so it wasn't that like so different, but it was beautiful. And then on another trip, I'd gone down to Koh Samui. That was the place to go. This is like 35, almost 40 years ago, I think. And everybody went there. They had like the ganja cookies. They had like, like the omelets, the magic mushroom omelet, all these little things that, was the backpackers kind of place. I think it was like, I forget, 20 baht. Well, the dollar, 20 baht is like less than it was like, oh no, I'm sorry, it was about $10 a night to stay. And if you split it between two people, it was like $5 each or something. I remember the time. Right on the beach. I remember the name of the restaurant. It was called Munchies. You can guess why, right? Munchies. So, um, yeah, and this is a Koh Samui I'm talking about. But now Koh Samui is also on the same track as Phuket because people found out that, wow, Koh Samui is beautiful, less traffic, less people. So Koh Samui is behind, but slowly following Phuket. So if you plan to go to Koh Samui, now's the time to go before it gets too developed. Or if you want to live there, that would be great, but expect that in a few years it's going to be like Phuket. It's going to become overly crowded. I think there's Koh Samui, there's Koh Phi Phi, and there's Koh Samet. So there's several islands out there that are still not quite developed yet. And so you may want to visit those islands, or you may, if you're thinking of retiring, you may want to plan ahead, like how long does it take for it to get developed and congested, and choose an island according to that, if that's what you're thinking of. There's a lot of well-off people who retire in Phuket, and the reason again is because everyone speaks English. It has all the conveniences. It has the big like DIY. I forgot the name of it, but it's like the Home Depot. It has all the things that you need. And again, if you have money, it's a great place. And if you like the sun and beach, you can't beat it, right? You can't live in Hawaii, way too expensive, right? I mean, you can if you have a lot of money, but if you're like Oprah. But if you are just, you have money but not that much, not like Oprah, then Phuket is a good option. But again, the difference between Phuket and Hawaii is that Phuket becomes very humid and much hotter than Hawaii. Hawaii is pretty stable. I think Hawaii has the best temperature and climate in the world, I think. And these days, because of global warming, you do have some humid days in August, especially some in September. Maybe it gets up to 95, maybe. I haven't been there in a while in the summer. I mean, in the summer, uh, so it does get up quite high. I remember when we were young, it never got over 81 degrees, and I know that for a fact. So that tells you that global warming, now it gets up to 95, right? And then yes, there is humidity, but not to the extent of Japan or Asia. And so Hawaii is still the best place, I think, for as far as climate. It's just that you can't afford to live there unless you have lots of money, right? Because it's so expensive. But same problems that Hawaii has gone through. People on Phuket, the local people, land prices go up. You can't afford to buy a house. You have to move out of the island. That's why so many people in Hawaii move to the mainland for jobs. The jobs paid that much better, and they could buy a big house. They could own land, but and a lot of them at the end want to come back and retire in Hawaii. And if you don't have enough money to buy a home or a condo or somewhere, then you can't return. So there's that same thing that eventually Phuket follows along a similar path of that. There are like wats and temples in Phuket, but they're not many. It's not like Chiang Mai where every corner you turn there's another temple, another cultural significant, whether it's a pagoda or a stupa, so very, very different. So if you really want the cultural aspect, if you want to see what, like Thainess, definitely the northern province, I would say is better. But if you want the beach, the sun, and all the niceties of the spa and wellness, then of course it probably would be Phuket. The other thing that, you know, Northern Thailand is more conservative and not as modernized, but you still have places that offer to high-end tourists. So you still could, or you could, as I said before, you could stay in a nice hotel in Chiang Mai and visit Chiang Rai for the day. That all is possible. So you still could do a nice and pampered tour in the north and not really go down on comfort and luxury. So that's also available. Another thing that was a good measure for cost is massage, right? Everybody talks about Thai massage. I remember back 10 years ago, Thai massage used to be 250 baht, and then for 1 hour, and 400 baht for 2 hours. It was really a good deal, right? 400 baht at that time was probably like $8, $7 at that time. Well, now when I came, the going rate was 250 for 1 hour and 500 for 2 hours. So they were smart. They realized that giving a good deal on the second hour made it, they weren't making less money. So they just make it 250 and 500, right? And then during the high season, when the festival came to Chiang Mai, it went up to 300 baht, which is only like a couple dollars more, right? And according to the guy who owned the massage shop that I went to, Cha was his name, he told me that it fluctuates and that it could come down after the busy season. He wasn't sure. I didn't see it go down before I left. And then when I was in Phuket, it was 350, 350 usually. So it was still 50 baht more than in Chiang Mai. And here in Bangkok, when I went out to buy food last night, it was 350. And I'm in the business district here. I don't know if that's the expensive district or not. But so again, Bangkok is and Phuket are both on the high side for massage. But again, when we say high side, we're only talking 50 baht, which is like less than $2. But I'm just, in baht, it sounds like a lot. Wow, from 200 to 250. But it's less than $2. But that also, the night market and the massage cost, the average cost is a good indicator of the price differences between the different areas. So if any of you are thinking about going to either the northern province or to Phuket or the islands, I hope that that at least give you some things to talk about. I would look at like Phuket as some places more high end, more like going business class or first class. Whereas if you decide to go to Chiang Mai or Chiang Rai and do the average, not doing the high end, but just the regular tour, it'd be more like economy. So, as far as the niceties. However, just like in flying business versus flying economy, cost completely different. Completely different. And I still believe that it also, because it's not huge amounts of money coming in at one time like in Phuket, that there's a little bit more hospitality, a lot more friendliness, honesty, and I don't know. I just, as they say, I like the vibe of the northern provinces. So if you get a chance, I highly recommend include the northern provinces in. And I'm from Hawaii, so the beach is nice, but it's not someplace that I jump up and down about because I don't know, maybe I've been spoiled. So I prefer going to the north. I like the mountains. If you like mountains, you like hiking, definitely the northern province. It is cooler, especially in this season right now, the high season they call it. It is cooler in the northern province. So it's up to you on what you decide. Um, I will sum up here by just saying the pros for Phuket are, of course, the weather, the natural scenic beauty, the beaches, the sailing, the ability to visit different exotic islands. You can go by boat or by tailboat, as they call it. The cons are that right now for Phuket, it's cost, it's over tourism, it's crowd, it's traffic. It's more about so when you go to Phuket, it's more about the physical environment that you want more than the cultural aspect, so I think that's something that differs. As far as the pros for the northern province, I would say that it's one of the most ethnically diverse places in Thailand, with people from indigenous hill tribes, the Aka, the Lahu, the Karen, the Shan, the Thai groups. They even have a lot of Chinese immigrants. The Burmese and Laotians come in. They're all along in that area. Very colorful, very interesting, and I guess that's my interest. So that's in the northern province, especially in Chiang Rai. The cons about the northern provinces are the smoky season. That's 3 months out of the year, 12 weeks out of the year, mid-February to roughly mid-April. just smoky and terrible air quality. You don't want to be there. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I wanted to thank all of you for joining me. If you are still there, um, I just thought that I would do one more about just my comparison of going from the northern province to Phuket and how shocked I was, like almost going to a different country in almost, although they're both Thailand, it was not like Thailand for me going from the north province to Phuket. And I was just wanted to share that with you. So thank you for good morning. Maria Antimis, good morning from Tokyo. Sorry to be late. We watched the whole. Okay, yeah, there will be the recording of this if you're interested in. I'm gonna spend another week here, and maybe I'll do another one about Bangkok just to compare maybe Bangkok to the rest of Phuket and to Chiang Mai. But I do want to say though, I really, really enjoy Thailand, and that it really is eye-opening, and that people are kind and nice. You do always have to be aware of scams or cheat. But again, a lot of it is more up here. We overthink things a lot. Every time I think, oh, they charge me too much. Oh, a lot of times it's me, and a lot of times it's like I'm the one that, like yesterday, for example. This is not a scam, but so I go to Tops to eat dinner, and it's Sunday, so there are not many shops open, just a few. But anyway, I go and I get a card. You got to get one of those cards to eat. You got to pay first, put money on the card, and then you go, and then and then when you leave, if you remember, you give the card back, and then they give you, I think they charge you for the card. So if you take the card home, you lose that. But anyway, it's not a big deal. So I get a card. I go to the vendor. I order this Thai dish, and then when it's ready, I give them the card. And they have like a QR code reader, and I'm tapping it on it, and it's not working. And I'm looking at the card. I look at tapping, tapping. So I tell the lady, I give her the card, and she tries it. And then she looks at the card, and she says something like, oh, you got to go and get a Tops card. And I'm thinking, that is the Tops card. And so I'm thinking like, I'm going, oh yeah, Thailand, look at that. They messed up, like screwed up again. She probably gave me the wrong card. So just look at the card, the face. Yeah, it's not red. So I go to the customer service, the service section, and I said, oh, she gave me the wrong card. I need a Tops card. And I show them the card, and they look at the card strangely. And then I look down at the card. It's my hotel card. I gave them the hotel card. Of course, I was tapping my hotel card on the QR code because it was in my pocket, and I just changed money for the Tops card. But I put the Tops card in my wallet, and I put the hotel card here. Anyway, completely my fault. 100% stupid. But again, that happens a lot. That you think, oh yeah, I must be getting cheated. Oh, they must have made a mistake. Oh, it must be them. But it's actually me, because we overthink things, or we think, oh yeah, oh yeah, Thailand, they're still a developing country. Their service is not up to the level of Japan or United States. Most of the time, it's me. So, it's just like they're being cheated. 95% of the time, no one's cheating you. It's that I overthought something that, and it wasn't. So, I think it's human nature too, right? You're always on guard. You always worry about, oh, I don't want to pay too much, or that lady's cheating me, or they think I'm Japanese, so they're going to charge me a high price. And there is that, but it's very, very rare. So just keep that in mind when you come to Thailand. I think I'm going to end here. I want to just say thank you for joining me. For those of you who did, I just find that you can get so much diversity within Thailand. If I went to like the northeast province of Isan, or to the west, it would be different again, I'm sure. If you went to the south, there's two provinces that are Muslim. One is almost all Muslim, and one is 90% Muslim, and one is 50% Muslim. Yala and Patani, I think it was called. Oh, that was the other thing that was interesting. In Phuket, it was the first time that I saw many Muslims there, because they're wearing the hijab. The women are wearing the hijab. I don't know about the gentlemen. But you go to a 7-Eleven, and they tend to like work in clusters. So you would see all the Muslim women in hijabs, beautiful. They all wear the same color. It was usually like a purple, working in 7-Eleven. And so you would see this. You would see some of them working in other places, but normally they were in clusters. I didn't see many Muslims in the northern provinces, so there are not that many, I guess. I did see a few, but not many. But again, in Phuket, because it's closer to the southern provinces, for those of you who don't know, there's two main provinces that want to break away from Thailand and create their own Muslim state, and that has been an ongoing problem for years and years. And there's still, people, police been killed by the activists and things, and that's still going on. I don't think Thailand will ever give up those provinces, but again, they're Muslim, and it's right next to Malaysia also, which is a Muslim country. So there's I don't know what the connection is. Maybe there's support or not. I don't know, but anyway. There's two on the south, and anyway, a lot of those people come north to work, and a lot of them, Phuket is pretty much south, so a lot of Muslims from the two provinces come up and work. So you can see in the different areas in Phuket, a lot of women are wearing the hijab, and they're Muslim. So yes, they. Or you go to the night market, the night. Oh, not only the night market. It's interesting. Even in Chiang Mai, I remember, there's a certain crepe that they make, a chocolate banana crepe with Nutella that they make, and it's always made by Muslims because they wear hijab. That's how I know, right? And I asked someone, and it's a Muslim dish, and so wherever you go, if you go to a night market and it's a crepe, it's usually done by a Muslim person or group. So anyway, okay. Okay, J Star, assumed response. Yes, human nature. Thank you for a nice live, Mike. Thank you. Yep. Okay. Thank you for joining us. I hope to see you in the next live stream. Thank you again for being here. Hope many of you can make it to Thailand, whether it's to visit or to live or to stay a long period. And for those of you who are interested in studying Thai, I highly recommend. It's just something interesting to do. And if I were studying Thai, do not study Thai in Bangkok or in Phuket because so many people speak English. Try to go to an area that there are less people who speak English, so that forces you to use the language because it's really a hard language. And one last point is that I did meet a foreigner. She was from Netherlands, and she has been here 10 years. And she said she would suggest learning Thai by learning to read and write first. And that was the first person I ever heard who said that, because most foreigners don't read or write because it's so complicated. They can speak, but they can't read or write because, there are like 70 different alphabets. She said there's 40 main alphabets, and there's another 30 consonant combinations. So a total of 70. But she suggests learning to read and write. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I should try that. But if you look at the Thai writing, it looks so much like, it kind of looks like Arabic almost to me, where it's so, I wouldn't even know where to start. But anyway, that was her suggestion. So I am now thinking about maybe I should start learning how to read or write Thai, because she says it will help you with the tones and the sounds. And once you got that, then learning Thai will be much easier. So that was her suggestion. Very, very unique. And maybe I'm thinking, I'll give it some thought. Maybe I'll do that. So thanks for joining me today. For those of you from America, I hope you all had a nice Thanksgiving weekend. And for those of you, everybody else, I hope you have a nice weekend. This is Mike signing off from Bangkok, Thailand. Thanks again for joining me. Have a great weekend.